Hi, and welcome to the third of three videos for section 1.4 for Math 126. So far in this section we've been looking at rational expressions, compound fractions. In this third video we're going to be looking at how to rationalize the denominator or numerator. So again, I know I've kind of been repeating it here throughout some of these videos, but this is a pretty important topic. In Math 127 and Math 181, if you're going on to those classes, there's going to be a lot of instances where you're working with radicals and you'll end up with a radical in the denominator. And the nice way or the accepted way within mathematics is that we don't want radicals in the denominator, So we rationalize them, and that gets it out of there. So we're going to see how to do that here. And so the process is pretty straightforward. So to rationalize, we multiply the numerator and denominator by something called the conjugate. So if, for example, I have x plus y, so a binomial, so two terms, could be a number with our, if we're rationalizing, it'll typically be the radical. But what we're doing with the conjugate is very simple. We leave the x and y. So we leave the terms as they are. The only thing that we do is change the sign. So if it's plus, it becomes minus. If it's minus, it becomes plus. Everything else stays the same. So when we do this, as you'll see, we'll end up with multiplying two binomials. And when we multiply two binomials that are the same terms but different signs, what happens? When we FOIL them, the middle terms disappear. So we'll end up being able to get rid of the radical symbol. So let's look at an example. Let's say we want to rationalize the denominator. And we have the rational expression 1 over 1 plus the square root of 2. So again, you can see we have a radical symbol in the denominator. We don't want that. We want to get rid of it. So all we're going to do, as the step implied, multiply numerator and denominator. As long as we multiply the top and bottom by the same things, we're doing what? We're essentially multiplying by 1. So even though we change how this piece looks, we haven't changed its value, and that's the important thing here. So the conjugate for this would be what? Well, it's still 1. It's still square root of 2. The only difference now is it becomes a minus sign. So the conjugate of 1 plus the radical 2 is 1 minus radical 2, or root 2. And again, we have to do the same thing in the numerator. That way, this whole piece that we're multiplying by is just 1. So when we do that, this is fraction math again, so we multiply across the top, so we get 1 minus square root of 2. And in the bottom, think of this as two binomials. So we're FOILing it. 1 times 1 is 1. Outside, so first outside, inside last. So outside is 1 times negative square root of 2, which is minus square root of 2. Inside is positive square root of 2 times 1, so that's plus square root of 2. And then here we have plus square root of 2 times minus square root of 2. So positive times negative is negative. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. So remember back to our radical properties. If I have square root of a times square root of b, this is just square root of a times b. So 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So essentially, because we're multiplying by the same radical, the square root symbol goes away and we're left with the number underneath. Now when we go to simplify, what happens? Well, the inside and outside terms should be the opposite of each other. So minus square root of 2 plus square root of 2, these guys cancel each other out. If that didn't happen, then you didn't have the correct conjugate. Something went wrong. Either you FOILed it wrong or this conjugate was wrong, because that's the whole purpose here, is to eliminate that radical piece. So if we simplify, we get 1 minus square root of 2 on the top, and then 1 minus 2 on the bottom is negative 1. So this thing is just minus 1 minus square root of 2, or if we distribute the minus sign, you get negative 1 plus square root of 2. So now we no longer have this rational expression with a radical in the denominator. We just simply have negative 1 plus square root of 2. Let's do one more example. And on this one, I guess go ahead and try and hit pause. See if you can work it through. Can you figure out what's the conjugate and then do the math on it? So for this example, this is 1 minus the square root of 5 all over 3. And here we want to rationalize the numerator. And again, this isn't the common practice. We typically want the radical in the numerator, but this is just getting you work trying to figure out the conjugate and processing through. So like I said, if you want, go ahead, hit pause, try to work it through. If not, if you want to follow through for another example, that's fine. Then you can work some more of the homework. But our conjugate here is what? We have 1 minus square root of 5, so our conjugate is 1 plus the square root of 5. And we have to multiply on the top and the bottom. So when we do that on the top, and again, I would suggest using parentheses so it keeps your mind straight that you're doing FOIL here. 1 times 1 is 1. Outside is plus square root of 5. Inside is minus square root of 5. And then minus 5. So square root of 5 times square root of 5 is square root of 25, which is 5. And then on the bottom we just have 3 times 1 plus square root of 5, which is 3 plus 3 times the square root of 5. We just distribute the 3 into the parentheses. So again, these middle terms cancel out. 1 minus 5 is negative 4. And in the bottom, 3 plus 3 square root of 5. You didn't have to distribute if you left just a 3 in front. So if you had minus 4 and then 3 times, or we have 1 plus square root of 5, that's okay as well, in case maybe we could have canceled something there. But either of these is acceptable as the answer. Not going to get marked wrong on an exam for having them. So that's it. Pretty quick and painless video there for our third video for section 1.4. It's rationalizing, and the step is very straightforward. Find the conjugate, which is just changing the sign between the binomial. FOIL everything out. Middle term should disappear, and then just simplify after that. So come on back and we'll look at the videos for section 1.5.